wonder what Matt would think about that music. I don't even know if you guys can hear me. I guess I need to pull up the comment. It is one of those Mark After Dark that happens about twice a year. And I got to tell you why I'm doing this is because I'm going absolutely nutso. See back there. Let me kill the music. If I can figure out how to do that. There we go. I have been watching the biggest youth bowling tournament in America, which happens to be taking place in Green Bay, Wisconsin, of all places. And I've tried to do some of it in my office on campus, and then I have a brand new studio office here in my new man cave. And I'm going absolutely nutso. Now, I get it. A lot of you people out there may not even know who I am. And if you don't know who I am, that's a good thing, maybe. All right? And I just like to show up every now and then and kind of reminisce and talk about a few things. And hopefully you guys can catch me up on a lot of stuff that's been taking place in the bass fishing world. Man, I actually went in. I was on with Matt. We talked a little bit about poker. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. And this latest deal with a dude being banned from the World Series. I don't know if it's forever or whatever it is. It's a long time. That's craziness. I don't know if anybody out there, there's 33 people watching. I'm shocked. It's like 11 o'clock or close to it. Matt Ellis, how are you, man? Good to hear from you. Landon Tucker, it is iCast. I forgot about that. You guys are up late, probably venturing out, having good dinners and good food and seeing some stuff. Man, look at all these people that I recognize from back in the day. Justin, it's 8:26 on the West Coast. 11:30. I'm excited because next week, everyone, I'm headed to the great state of Maine for an entire week. And I'm going fishing. And there's an old BTL fan that is actually going to take me fishing. And check this out. I thought we were going to go smallmouth fishing. We're not. He told me to bring a reel that has 65-pound braid on it because we're going to be doing some punching. Get this, punching in Maine? I can't believe it. Hopefully we'll punch up some big ones. Punching in Maine. You guys help me out here. Am I way off base? I thought that we were going to do a little smallmouth fishing. And we might, but he's telling me to bring 65-pound braid. That's what I'm going to do. As you can see over my shoulder, the action is just about over. But it starts at 7 a.m. and it's just now wrapping up now. All right. Now, the last time that I did this, I put a link up there to where if you guys want to come on and talk with me, we could do that. Because quite honestly, I only know a little bit from what Matt is filling me in on. You know, I guess things are okay. I don't know. Is there a lot of people at iCast? Is there a lot of people excited about, isn't now the time that they're going to have the smallmouth bash where everybody on the Elite Series catches like 80 pounds or greater? Is that this month? I don't know. I follow it a little bit, but nothing like I used to. Matt's going to kill me. Matt's going to go, Jeffries, dude, you got to stop doing this. Well, I only do it twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. Oh, by the way, my shirt, see, it says property of Throw It Better. That was actually a fundraiser by a friend of mine down in Texas. And, you know, a lot of people kind of like in the fishing world, in the bowling world, people always think that they're just having bad luck. They don't know why they're bowling bad all the time. It's just bad luck. Well, no, it's not. You got to throw it better. Well, that's kind of where that came from. Maybe somebody in the fishing world should set something up that says, set the hook better or cast it better. Or how about just get better? I don't know. You know, we got into a big discussion in the bowling world about the world of handicap play. And if there's any golfers out there, and it got me thinking about fishing. If there's any golfers out there, you know, there's a handicap that gets established based upon your score. So like it's based upon whatever par is, and then you may get, you know, 8 shots. So you might get 10 shots or whatever it is. In bowling, what they do is they establish a score, and let's just, for simple math, let's say 220, and then whatever your base average is, you get 75% of the difference between your average and 220. And I think it's an absolute bunch of bunk. The handicap system needs to be totally revamped. And there's a lot of reason for that, and I want to go into it. But think about this. What if they had handicap bass fishing? To where if you're fishing a team tournament and the team that you have is so bad and their performance has been so miserable that here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you 5 pounds before you ever catch a fish. People would be outraged. Oh, well, you know what? Your last 20 tournaments, your average weight was 3 pounds, 2 fish for 3 pounds. All right, going into this tournament here, we're going to give you, your handicap's going to be 8 pounds. 8 pounds. John and Jimmy, you get 8 pounds. Go ahead, get after it. Haven't even made a cast. You get 8 pounds. That's nuts. That's crazy. That would never happen. So why is it happening in other sports? This is my take on this. If you're not good enough, get better. Just get better. All right? I am turning into the guy that completely is deaf to complaining. You know, complaining. I'm deaf to it now because I'm at the stage of my life and I'm at the stage of winding down the sine curve of life that I've seen quite a bit. I've experienced quite a bit. But I'm at the point now where if you're complaining about something, then either make a suggestion of which you feel it's going to be made better, or just get better. Just get better. And I'm kind of totally referring to sports and stuff. But what's crazy about this event that I've been covering all week, it's not the kids. The parents are out of their minds. Some of the message boards, and I know you guys read all the Facebook and Instagram and all that. Some of the stuff that some of these parents are saying, it's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Complaints about the AC, complaints about water, complaints about the lane condition, complaints about the price of food, complaints, just Be satisfied. And if you don't like it, do something about it. You know? And if you're not performing at the level that you want to perform at, then get better. Throw it better. You know, that's why mentally, the stuff that I'm going to be working with this group, and I'm telling you folks, the group that I have this year on the men's side, they're going to be really good, right? But the challenge is to bring in a bunch of individuals and teach them how to become a team. You got to teach them how to become a team. And you have to make sure that they understand the concept of not you, but us. All right? Can we apply some of that philosophy to fishing? You guys tell me. All right? Is there way too much complaining in fishing? Instead of just get better. How about that? Is that too much to ask for? Is that too difficult of a task to attack? The fact that you just need to get better? You guys tell me. I mean, believe me, there's stuff that shows up in my feed and I just shake my head. Just shake my head. It's like, wow, man, that's all right. Maybe it's because I, as a person, had to get better. Is there something wrong with that? Anything wrong with that? I'm looking at the feedback right now. Time on the water means everything in both sports. Absolutely, man. Time on the lanes means everything. Time on the golf course. Time in the gym. All right? Don't rely on getting compensated because of the additional pins or fish or strokes that you're getting because you're just not good enough. Get better. Get better. It's amazing. It's amazing some of the things that have transpired over from when, you know, Matt and I started doing this thing to where it is when I walked away to where it is now. And quite honestly, am I surprised? A little bit. Am I shocked? I'm not really shocked. I think it is it's an interesting take that sometimes people don't grasp, that when you don't reach a goal or an objective, that you want to look at everything that's wrong. You know, it's not something that is within your grasp, but within your control. They, you know, he or she wants to blame and complain and throw in all these other elements that they don't have any control over. What do you really have control over? Well, what you do have control over, get better. If you're not satisfied with what you're achieving, get better. See, I'm already on a tangent. What do you think Matt would say about that? Do you think Matt would agree with me on that? Or am I just being a grouchy old man? I can't believe there's several people on this. Who wants to join me? Here, somebody give me a comment. Do you want me to throw the link out there if you want to talk to me? I don't know how long this is going to last. Like I said, I've been watching bowling for 3 solid days, about 14 hours a day. Quite some time. All right, here. I got to figure out how to get the link. Hang on here. Let me see here. Okay, there's the link right there. Oh, Ricky. Oh, that's messed up, man. You need to tell him that on the show tomorrow if he's doing a show with Frank. Uh Matt, really? Here, let me throw this up here. Those who can't get better teach or coach. Yeah, that was me. I'm I'm still trying to get better. Heck, I finished I just started bowling again, seriously bowling some tournaments, and I finished second like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then finished seventh this past weekend. The back's getting better. I can't take too many more rough boat rides though. Man, 4 treatments, and it's good now. Feels pretty good. They took care of me. What is this? Let me throw this up here. He referred to you on the show the other day, talking about getting better at just catch more fish. Uh, Here, this. Are you aware of the recent epidemic of Elite Series DQs? I only know of one, and I think that was Scott Martin. That whole situation. I didn't really dive into it. So I guess a little bit, but not really. I know the lie detector is coming into play quite a bit, and which is interesting. Oh, here, Logan, he got DQ'd. Was a lie detector involved? Probably so. Here, this is a good one. How's the noggin? Family good? Oh man, my head could not be better. Head is good. As long as it stays out of the way of concrete, I'm good. Sean, hey, good to hear from you, man. All is well. Here, this one. Mark, is bass fishing a sport? Didn't we have that argument? I think I had that argument or discussion with Kim Duke one time. And is there a wrong answer in that one? I mean, I could throw out stuff that no way it's a sport, and I could throw out stuff that yes, it is a sport. This is what I will say: the physical demands of doing what those guys do, as much as they are on the water, the physicality is definitely in the sport category. Okay, the one thing that I always refer to from a sports standpoint, and I'm actually dealing with this with college bowling right now, is sport to me is when you have team versus team or an individual versus an individual. And I can remember in the past where they actually, in professional fishing, and some of you may not remember this, they actually went to some bracket play where it was angler versus angler. And quite honestly, I thought it was great. But I think a lot of people, I think the vast majority of people did not like that format. I thought it was a true indication of player versus player, angler versus angler. And I think when you have that situation, it's truly the competitive sporting environment that exists. Anybody disagree? Does anybody remember those bracket matches? I think FLW was the one that originally did that. Hey, by the way, did you guys see that Jim Morton passed away? I guess a couple of days ago. Do you guys know who Jim Morton was? His big famous claim to fame, he actually won a BASS event on Grand Lake here in Oklahoma in the month of December while it was snowing with a buzzbait. I remember. I was there. Snowing in Grove, Oklahoma, and he absolutely smashed them on a buzzbait. Brian, yes, I did see that. Hang on. Where are we at? Here we go. Brian, yeah. Does everybody know who Bob Funk is? Bob Funk, the multi-millionaire from Oklahoma. His neighbor is actually what would that be? My oldest son's in-laws. They live right across the street from each other. I mean, Funk's ranch is massive, and I mean, they have cattle and wheat and all kinds of other stuff directly across from there. But that dude was a tremendous giver. He was also the founder and chairman of Express Services and was also heavily involved in the world of rodeo. Great dude. Gave a ton of money to the community. Was responsible. He was into everything. He was responsible for bailing out the minor league hockey team that existed here in Oklahoma 25 years ago. They were the hottest minor league franchise at the time. They were averaging well over 10,000 fans a game. And I think he was 85. But the ex-coach of the Oklahoma City Blazers actually went to work for Mr. Funk. Doug Sauter was his name. And I think Doug still lives here in Oklahoma and still is a part of Express Ranches, and kind of was Mr. Funk's right hand when it came to the livestock part of his business. But great dude. Big loss. What else? Sean. I wouldn't say that. That's kind of funny, but I told both of my sons, you got to have the list, and there's an item at the top of the list, and both of my sons are following my footsteps on the list. So, yeah, it's weird being a grandfather. That's something else that has happened since I left the show. She will actually be 1 next week when I'm in Maine, and they're doing a little get together on Saturday before we leave on Sunday. Brian, hey, shoot me an email, mark@bassone.com. I will send you the list. I will give you that list. In fact, there's only 10 things on the list. Anybody else? Shoot me an email, mark@bassone.com. I will send you the list to you. It works. Believe me, it worked. If it worked for me, it worked for my son. It works for other friends that I've passed the list on to. But I think pay attention to the thing that is at the top of the list. All right, Jim Lopez, I see you in the queue, but I don't see you. I just see audio. I don't have any video. The Epstein list. No, not the Epstein list. You know what's funny? Because I'm dating myself here. Anytime I hear Epstein, and I know what everybody's thinking, I think about Epstein from Welcome Back, Kotter. Now, who remembers that show from the 70s? That's kind of what I thought. Nobody. Jim, I want to get you in, but here, let's see here. You there, Jim?
Yeah, I'm trying to get on it, but it won't let me select the camera.
Oh, now he went away. Let's see. Let me bring him back. All right, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. Well, maybe the fact that we can't see you, it is what it is. So
I can't. I'm trying to click on the camera, but the camera's telling me something about the browser.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just glad you want to talk to me. If you still want to talk to me, man, let's talk. What do you got?
Yeah. So what's this? You're going punching?
I have no idea. I was shocked when I got a text saying, make sure you bring a reel that's got 65-pound braid on it.
Oh, okay. What kind of water is it?
I
Is
have
it
no idea.
oh, nothing?
I have no idea. Now, he did tell me to bring a couple of reels with some like 12-pound, 10-pound fluoro on there. So I'm sure we're going to fish for some smallmouth. It's just, it caught me off guard, him telling me to bring 65-pound braid.
Oh,
Now,
well,
if I was going to Texas, I could believe that.
uh-huh. Yeah, for sure. Does he got all the equipment and everything, or are you gonna bring your stuff?
Now, I'm bringing reels, and he's got the rods and everything that I need up there.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
He's actually a guide in Maine.
Yeah, Maine's cool. I've never been there, but I'm hoping to get there sometime soon.
That is the last box checked on the 50-state list for me.
Really?
So
That's
I've
great.
I've I've been to every uh every state except the state of Maine, and that's going to happen very soon.
Oh, okay. Have you been fishing at all? Break off the rust or anything?
Oh yeah. Me and a friend of 50 years before the heat wave came in, we were going once a week, and sometimes maybe even twice a week, just depending on my schedule. And man, we had some incredible days. I had the best absolute day I have ever had in my life on a buzzbait. Our best five probably went 28, 29 pounds
Dang.
on a buzzbait.
Wow.
All right. And we probably caught 70 fish that day.
Oh, wow. That's great. So
Just
what was the setup like for the buzz bait? Like, was it like at a certain depth, like 5 to or 8 feet, where it was like the magic money, where you were catching them?
no, it was a lake that was recently flooded. It was way up, and it's got water willow in it. So it came up like 7 feet, and all the water willow was under the water. And this lake has these really cool underwater points that when it's at normal level, the water willow's out, and it creates these kind of point areas where these point areas were all underwater.
Uh-huh.
And the fish were chasing bait fish that were in the water willow that was flooded, and it was insane. And no, it wasn't Arbuckle. I'm not going to say the name of the lake, but it wasn't Arbuckle,
Yeah.
Brian. It was crazy. And then we had an incredible, and I'll say this lake, the best smallmouth trip that we ever had on Lake Texoma. And my experience using this bait is very little. I've used it very little, and I'm going to say what it was because it just shows my unwillingness to try stuff that I haven't ever used. And
Hmm.
we absolutely wore out the smallmouth on Lake Texoma on an underspin.
Oh, wow. That's a good bite.
An underspin.
Uh-huh.
I may have used an underspin once or twice in my entire life.
What was the bait you had rigged up on it?
Uh some
Was
kind of
that
minnow.
was it
I don't.
minnow or paddle tail?
It was some type of paddle tail is what it was. It
Uh-huh.
was a minnow looking bait with a paddle tail.
Oh, okay. What
I,
color?
I, don't, I don't remember what it was.
Smallmouth magic?
No, it was a gizzard shad color that I do know.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah,
was crazy. I mean, you throw that thing out as far as you could, and I was using a half-ounce underspin, and when
hmm.
it hit the bottom, you'd start reeling it, and then you'd stop, and then you'd start reeling it, and you'd stop, and then you start reeling it, and you would get absolutely hammered.
Oh, that's a good idea to do that. I'll have to try that next time. I'm always reeling it real slow.
Yeah, it was. It was insane. I've never caught smallmouth like that on Lake Texoma. They're in there, but I'm excited. Here, this is the text that Hamilton, who's the guide that's taking me out in Maine, he said, bring a reel for punching and frogging. 65-pound braid, crankbaits, jerk baits. You never know what we end up trying to catch. He goes, bring the reels. I got the rods. So
that'd be cool. Frog bite.
You know, my greatest time ever on the water is not at Lake Fork. It's not at OHIV. It's not at Clear Lake out in California. It's at Lake Champlain. And let me tell you what we did at Lake Champlain. We were down south of Ticonderoga, and we were throwing frogs on top of the water chestnuts.
Oh, wow.
Now, I have no idea, anybody out there that's familiar with Lake Champlain, I have no idea if the water chestnut pads are still out there. But it was like a Polaris missile, these fish coming through. And we would go down sections of these water chestnut banks, and they'd have big holes in them.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where people had caught fish previously in those water chestnuts. And it was insane. It was the most insane frog bite I've ever had.
Well,
and when we got back to the hotel, I called Dean Rojas and I was like, man, you're not going to believe this, Dean. You're not going to believe what I just went through. And he was, oh yeah, they'll do it there. But it was good.
Yeah, he knows something about frogging, that's for sure.
Here, let me throw this up. This is an interesting question. Serious question. Are you disappointed you weren't in the nomination pool for the Bass Hall of Fame this last go-around? That's a good question. And, you know, if I was to answer it honestly, I would say yeah. I mean, why would a human being not be disappointed in an honor like that if it wasn't to come? Now, I have been nominated. I was nominated the first year after I retired, and I'm not really sure what the rule is if you stay in there 5 years or you get nominated. Obviously, I didn't get nominated. This is all I'm going to say about this is there were things that were done by people over the history of this game that have impacted the game in some way, both from a professional standpoint, from a business standpoint, and from a media standpoint. All right? I think all three of those areas. The other area that people need to be honored for is their tangible contribution to the sport itself. Okay? That doesn't fall under one of those three categories. But I think there needs to be a performance, an industry, and a media category for the Hall of Fame. Because there have been so many things that have happened over, you know, the 50, 60 years of this game, if not longer, that if certain things wouldn't have happened, the sport may not be at the level that it's at today. Now, would it have eventually have gotten there? Probably so. But the people that have done things in this game that have propelled the game to a higher level in those three categories, I think they need to be recognized. Now, how that recognition comes, that's up to the folks out there that make the decisions on that stuff. But I think if people make a comparison, which, you know, over my career, I like to do it. I like to compare things in the bass fishing world to business and to other sports. The way that the other Hall of Fames work, two things take place. One, they honor the categories that I just explained. All right. The other thing that they do is whoever's voting on it, they make public what the voting voting practices were conducted. All right, now that will never happen in bass fishing. Never is a long time. Let me back up a minute. That probably won't happen, rather than never, because I don't want to look stupid if it does happen, but I believe it probably won't happen. I think that the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame is great. I think it is something that is definitely needed in this sport, in this industry. I think what Johnny Morris has done for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame and for bass fishing in general, a lot of times he gets a bad rap. And I think he gets a bad rap sometimes because he's made so much money. And sometimes people look at people that have taken the risk and sacrificed a lot to get to the level of income that they're at. I think a lot of times people don't like that. And they don't really look at the big picture of how much that Johnny Morris has truly done to this industry and this sport. All right. I don't think the sport is where it is today if it's not for Johnny Morris. And the contribution that Johnny Morris has made to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame by hosting it and building that, complex that he has in Springfield, there's a reason that he is a very, very, very influential person and a very willing person to do whatever he can to truly make this sport better. All right. Now, I'm not talking about growing the sport, because you will not hear that out of my mouth, because I think and truly believe that whoever is involved in this great game should ultimately be responsible for making the sport better. All right. And when you make the sport better, people are going to want to be a part of it. All right. Growth will come organically if you make the sport better. Now, the big discussion is, okay, Mark, well, how do we make the sport better? Well, the progression and whatever goal and whatever, line that the industry is trying to get to, the one thing that I see a lot of, once again, here I go back to I see a lot of complaining, and when I got out of it, there was a lot of complaining going on. And there still is, and there probably always will be. But there are people that have been involved in this sport. Obviously, Ray Scott. I got into kind of a little bit of discussion with Matt last time that I was on about the relevance of Kevin Van Dam. And I don't know if you guys watched that show. Let me just kind of grow on that a little bit. I feel and truly believe that the young anglers of today really do not realize and understand the importance that Kevin Van Dam had in this game. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you guys out there understand how important that KVD, the brand and what he did in professional fishing, how important that was to the evolving growth in making this sport better? Do you realize that, Jim?
Oh yeah, I started watching Kevin when he was fishing a river, and he was I think it was like right by a bridge, and he was fishing a tube, and actually Mike Iaconelli was a co-angler at the time, and I think he paired up with Kevin KVD sometime in that tournament, and then that's when I started watching, and that was back in probably the 90s, early 90s, and just from that and all the stuff that he's done is just like he was so far ahead of the game with everybody, that he was just blowing the doors off of a lot of tournaments and cashing checks left and right.
It was quite the run, and the historical factor about the run that KVD went on, I just think sometimes it gets overshadowed by the now. And I said that to Matt, and I don't really think Matt understood, because I think everything is about the now. And he turned to me and he said, well, of course it's about the now. That's all anybody cares about, the now. Well, that kind of solidifies my statement. The importance of players from the past is so critical to the continuance. And I don't care about forward-facing sonar and everything else that's going on. You cannot forget about what got you to where you're at today.
Well,
And that's kind of the point that I wanted to stress.
and a lot of the tournament anglers that came during KBD's time and after, I think a lot of these kids, I think they do know of him and how he put things together, because he was doing so many great things, and a lot of the other guys he was competing with started to do the same thing he did. He was just doing them a lot quicker. He could analyze and put the puzzle together,
Yeah.
so faster.
Here,
And
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
that's
I
okay.
want to throw this up here because Ricky's got a great question. He said, would bass fishing have died without YouTube? That is a great question. I'm going to answer that and say no.
Yeah.
No.
No.
If YouTube didn't exist, would bass fishing still be alive? And the answer is yes, because then we wouldn't have a choice. See, everything from a media standpoint today, it's all about the choices that are available out there. We never had those choices back in the 80s and 90s and even in the early 2000s. I fished a Sunday night jackpot at Grand Lake and Lake Uchi. And it was all about, hey, we got to get done. We got to get wrapped up. We got to get home to where we can see the TNN outdoor block and watch Bassmasters on television. Okay. That television's relevancy has completely went away. Now, people will argue that with me till they're blue in the face, but I'm telling you, it's all about choices. And when you have so many choices out there, people are going to select what is more convenient for them and what they really want to see. And if YouTube and the platform and Facebook and Instagram and all that didn't exist, would bass fishing still be relevant? Absolutely, 100%. Because then you would only have one source.
Yeah, people still going to watch their live feed, and I watch them all. I got them. I constantly have them on. But yeah, they're going to find ways to publicize all that stuff, and people are still going to tune in.
Absolutely. I'm looking at some of the other comments, but anyway, to go back to the not to retread too much here, but as far as the Hall of Fame thing, the premise that I stated that people need to be recognized that have made a substantial contribution, either from a media, a performance, a business, or I'm just going to call it a donational or what is the word? Starts I can't even say the word. Philanthropic. You know what I'm saying.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. So if I get in, man, it's going to be, one of the coolest days of my life.
Yeah.
But the realization is, you know what, man, there's people out there that didn't like the way that I did things. They didn't like that I treated it as a journalistic approach to a sport. And, I was pretty adamant about making sure that people understood, look, this is not about us. This is about you. And we're here to tell your story. So if you want to tell the story, then fire away and let me ask you some open-ended questions. But if you don't want your story told, then I'll just move on down the road. but some people didn't like that.
Mm. Well, that was back in the old days, old school days.
Yeah,
You know,
now, I mean, some of the people that have, I don't even know what to call it,
they
because
had a lot of secrets.
it's not journalism. It's not.
Oh, right now, yeah,
It's just a platform to voice opinions on what you either think might have happened, or heard from a friend of what happened, or heard from a friend's neighbor who knew your cousin that worked at, academy or whatever.
yeah. Hearsay, yeah, and that's why BTL is such a better platform, because it's always been more of a true standard of getting the facts right, doing the homework, not you know repeating of what somebody might have said or they said or he said, whatever, and then that's just how you know BTL has been from the start, and I've been watching, I don't know how many years I've been watching, probably at least 8, maybe
Yeah,
9 years,
yeah.
but and there's just a lot of these other programs out there that are just looking for clickbait, and they're just trying to pick off other people's videos, and you just got to tune that kind of stuff out, and
That's not journalism.
no,
And to be fair, it just doesn't happen in bass fishing. It happens in every sport, because people are driven now by the revenue that's generated through the amount of views and clicks and
yeah,
everything else that's out there. It's not a true journalistic approach to what really matters. And I established that rule on day one. All right. We will not discuss anything until we get the facts from the
yeah,
sources. And if we
100%.
can't get the facts, at least what they tell us, then we're going to mention it, but we're not going to talk about it. And that's what the essence of a journalistic approach to anything should be. All right. There's difference between a journalistic approach and an editorial approach. And I think what has occurred and evolved over the years is people think by blurring your opinion that's journalism. And it's not.
Yeah, but they're
It's
just
not even
trying to,
close.
yeah, they're just is just trying to beef up their algorithm, and just trying to ride that wave,
Yeah.
instead of just sticking to the facts, which a lot of guys do that, or people do that, but you just
Yeah.
gotta, you kind of just tune them out, is what I do. I just
Hey,
don't even watch them.
there have been a lot of great comments coming in about the whole Hall of Fame thing. Look, I'll just say this. All right. There's nothing that I can do. There's nothing that I'm going to do. There's nothing, that's totally, remember what I talked about earlier in the show? Control what you can control. I have
Yeah,
no control over that. All right. But if you have that strong of an opinion, you know, do what you may. That's on everybody out there. I am happy and so thankful to be in the position that I'm in, because you know what? For all those years that I covered those guys, I could not have done what I did if it wasn't for everybody at Bass, back then. If it wasn't for the support that I got at FLW, and if it wasn't for the support and the companies that supported this before clicks and views even mattered, they believed in what we were doing because nobody had ever done it. Now, I don't know how many of you guys know Tim Tucker. Tim
yeah,
Tucker was an iconic figure from a journalistic approach in the world of bass fishing. Now, a lot of people didn't like Tim, but a lot of people loved Tim. And Tim's life tragically ended in an automobile accident. I think it was like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But the respect that Tim Tucker had with the vast majority of the anglers was endless, because he asked tough questions. He didn't give you a pass, and he was very proficient in the way that he approached each tournament and each story that he wrote. I mean, Tim did some amazing stuff. Now, there have been some freelance people between kind of the Tucker area and today that have been incredible writers, right? And off the top of my head, I mean, I can't even remember. You know, I know one that comes to mind is Pete Robbins. Pete Robbins has been doing this since I did it, and Pete has done some great pieces and done some great stuff. And there was a time there, and I vaguely remember it, that Pete and I actually worked on some stuff together in the early years of the Bass Zone. But the John Neperandy is another one from Missouri. He has done some incredible journalistic work, even though some of them might have been instructional pieces and stuff like that. But to be a pure, non-influenced, non-compensated person, to say things because so-and-so, this company's paying you, or you're loyal to this company, or this or that, it very rarely exists anymore. And that's why I take a lot of pride in what Matt continues to do, because for the most part, Matt has continued that practice in us being very journalistic.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's why the brand is still valued by a lot of people out there. And you know, I'm so happy for him, and I hope it's still going to be around when I'm dead and gone. Hopefully, it will be.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. You know.
This is an interesting question. Did Panger did you get Panger the list before he got engaged? No, I did not. He didn't need the list. You know, but that is pretty funny. You know, here's somebody else. Eric, how cool is it that BTL brought back Frank Scalish into the spotlight? You know, Frank is a tremendous friend, and you know, Frank is such a good guy. And he was in the trenches. He was in the swimming pool, and he swam around with sharks and piranhas and
alligators.
He is an amazing friend. And when I came up with that idea to bring Frank into the mix, you know, I always tell Matt, try to do stuff that other people aren't doing. Look ahead. Always look ahead. And I had thought about Frank for quite some time, but when I initially approached Frank about the idea, you know, he was like, let me think about it, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then he was all in. And Frank, huge asset to what Matt has going on. And I'm hopeful that the fans continue to appreciate his experience, his knowledge, his stories. The man has got some of the greatest stories in the fishing world.
Yeah, I won one of his lures on the show. You know, if I had to, well, I don't know where it is now because we're in the middle of moving, but it was a topwater that it was I think it was one of the copies that he painted, and then he sent it to me. I won it, actually.
Yeah. Here, I'm looking at some other, let's see here. Mark, your approach to covering bass fishing was and still is incredibly important. I agree. And like I said earlier, I think Matt is doing a great job at continuing what has been established many, many, many years ago. You know, I don't think I've ever told this story, but I remember showing up to the very first Elite Series. It was at Lake Amistad, and I was by myself. I mean, Matt, he's not even in the picture yet. I'm by myself, and I'm trying to think of who my boat driver was. It was a woman, and she was with Strike King, and she was with Skeeter, and I cannot remember her name. All right. But we're sitting in her boat, and she asked me, what do you want to do? And I looked at her and I said, I'm not really sure because we've never done this before. And I said, let's do this. Let's go to a cove because the spawn was on at Amistad. I mean, they were catching them all kinds of different ways. I said, let's go to this one area and let's just sit and wait and see who shows up. So we went to this one area, and we sat there. And it was about, we could hear him take them off. And the first person to pull into the area that I was at was Ish Monroe. All right. And Ish, we became really good friends when I was out there. I haven't talked to Ish for quite some time, though. And we were sitting there, and we weren't near a bank. We weren't near anything. And Ish starts idling in, and he looks at me, and he looks at, I think her name was Denise. I can't remember. And he jumps up, he takes his life jacket off, he pulls his trolling motor down, and he looks right at me and goes, what are you doing? And I said, I'm covering the tournament from the water. He goes, really? He goes, who are you? I said, well, my name's Mark. This is my boat driver. I said, I got a camera, and I got a video camera, and I got a laptop, and I'm going to try and do live updates from the water. He goes, you're kidding me. He goes, Bass let you do that? And I said, well, yeah, I guess they were okay with it. They didn't tell me not to do it. He goes, okay. And then he looks down, and he looks back at me, and he goes, just stay out of the way. Okay. Don't get in my way. And I said, yes, sir. And I sat there, and he went up, and he was sight fishing with for anybody out there that may remember, he was fishing with a tube. He was sight fishing with a tube that was about as big as my size 12 Nike. It was ginormous.
A big tube, big white tube.
Yeah. And he went in there, and, he messed around for a little bit, and he ended up catching like a 7-pounder, I think is what it was. And I got it on film, and, he came up to me. I remember he came up to me at the weigh-in because nobody knew who I was. They were just like, who's this tall dude wearing a hat with a camera? Because nobody did this. And this is the very first Elite Series event ever. And he came up to me afterwards, and he was like, hey, man, did you get some good pictures? I said, yeah, I got some good ones. He goes, send them to me. He goes, here's my email. And that kind of started me thinking. So what I did from there is that first year when I got some just incredible pictures, I would get them blown up, and I would put them in a really high dollar frame, like a 36 by 60 frame, big frame. Nice. And then I would get it matted. And the very next Elite Series event that I would go to, I would give it to the anglers. Like one of the best pictures I ever took. This is way before drones. One of the best pictures. It's on my wall out in the TV area. Is I was on a helicopter hovering over Jeff Crete, and Crete hooked up with like a 5-pounder, and I actually got the shot with the fish jumping out of the water from a helicopter.
Wow, nice. That's awesome.
And I gave that print, I framed it up, and I gave it to Jeff, and Jeff said, that was the greatest photo that he had ever seen. And when I did the In the House with Jeff, he actually had that photo up in his office. So, I mean, those were just some of the little things in the beginning that I did because I realized I was not going to be able to do my job unless the guys understood that, hey, you know, you're the story. I'm just here to help you tell that story. And it worked out, and I ended up doing it for, man, I don't know how many years I was out there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mark, can you talk about like a story of being maybe at the classic that really, you know, like pulled at your heartstrings, like
uh, one of my it was weird. This was, I wasn't really sad or happy. It was just very strange. And me and him became really good friends after this event. It was at Lay Lake, and I was with Jay Ellis the year that he won. I was
Mhm.
with Jay Ellis on day one, and he was going way, way, way up where the current was, and he was throwing a jig, and the jig was like just floating through the water. I mean, the current was so hard up there that it was just, he'd throw it out, and he had a stroller motor on high. Well, anyway, the first place that he got to, I go, look, Jay, and on this tree there was a Busch Light beer can.
Hmm.
Now they had just announced that Busch Light was going to be the title sponsor of whatever, or Busch or whatever. And I go, that's really weird. Out of all the cans and trash that could have been on the sideline, why is there a Busch Light can in that tree? And he turned to me and he goes, I don't know. I don't know. And then he ended up, I don't know how much he had. He had some ridiculous amount. And on the way back, he goes, hey, I'm going to stop at one dock. I said, all right. And he pulls up to this one dock, and I will never forget this dock. This dock had a happy face on it, like a big smiley face, huge. And on it, it said, have a nice day. Everybody's seen that picture a zillion times. So I took a picture of him by that dock. I could get the happy face in with him in the shot, and then my title headline for that day one story was "Oh Happy Jay," and I had a
Nice.
picture of him with the smiley face from the classic. So that was a cool moment.
Yeah, that's great. I remember that tournament, and it was pretty flooded, and he was throwing his jig on like 45-degree rock, and he was letting the jig slide down the rock.
Yeah,
Wasn't it something like that? And
yeah,
it was
yeah,
I think
yeah,
spotted bass.
yep. It was crazy, insane current.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, here, I'm going to throw this comment up here. Jim, I lived in Inglewood, California from 65 to 71. I was 4 to 9 years old at the time. Jim, did you ever go to the Fabulous Forum in Inglewood? That's where I saw my very first hockey game with the LA Kings. And for those that don't know, I mean, I'm a huge hockey fan, been a huge hockey fan, but
Yeah, so am I.
I saw Inglewood on there and I was like, wow.
It's the old forum. Remember old Chicago Stadium?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was I'd never been. I got into hockey right after they knocked it down and they built the stadium Michael Jordan built.
Yeah.
And,
In St. Louis, they used to play in the Checker Dome
mhm.
because there was a period of time that the Purina company, the dog food company or
Yeah,
pet food company, they own the St. Louis Blues.
yeah, and
And
their minor league is the Chicago Wolves at that time.
yeah. Oh, Jim said, sure did. Man, the form was amazing. For all these people that are into music, Led Zeppelin played at the Fabulous Forum 7 consecutive nights
Wow.
in the 70s. I don't remember. And Ricky, Black Flag at the Fleetwood. Yeah, I've done that a few times. Been to the Elks Lodge too. That was wow. That was back in my younger days.
That's going way back.
Jim said, "Oh, Inglewood was actually a nice neighborhood back then. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. We used to watch the planes going into LAX actually fly right over where Hollywood Park and the Fabulous Forum was. I don't even know if Hollywood Park's still there.
So did the Forum have chain link fence around the dashers?
No,
They had glass.
they had glass. Yeah, that was back when there wasn't any advertising on the dasher boards
Uh-huh.
at all. But the Checker Dome in St. Louis, man, that place was a wreck. The plumbing was exposed everywhere. You'd have to duck to get around the plumbing sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. What else you guys want to talk about, man? There's still people watching. Wow.
Who's your favorite enforcer in hockey?
Of all time?
Yeah.
I was a Dave the Hammer Schultz fan.
Oh, Hammer, huh?
I love the Broad Street Bullies. I think when they played the Russians,
The Red Russians.
yeah, that was some of the greatest hockey of all time, man.
Yeah, it was. You can still watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's still some stuff there.
You know, everybody wants to say, the dude that played at Detroit,
Bob Probert.
Probert, yeah, you know, the fight between him and the dude that played for the Canucks at the time, and I can't remember his name.
Keith Tkachuk.
Do what?
Keith Tkachuk.
No, this is one of the most epic fights in Bob Probert's history.
When he was with the Red Wings, he got in a fight with somebody from
the Canucks. Just do
okay.
Just do a search on YouTube. His name, man, I can't remember his name. The only reason I know this guy, he played in the CHL for Tulsa when the Blazers were here in Oklahoma City. And his name is Cox. Craig Cox.
Okay.
Coxe. Check out that fight.
Okay. I'll have to look into that. I was thinking Tony Twist.
No, Craig Cox is who he
Okay.
fought. Epic. They had 2 battles.
Uh-huh.
You will be entertained on that. All right, here's an interesting question. Hang on. Who was a bass angler? Who was a tough interview? Great question. Skeet Reese. He was a tough interview. He made you work for it. All right. And I remember at the Classic at Chicago, I made a horrible mistake. I never made this mistake again for the entire time that I was covering professional fishing. I asked a question to Skeet Reese at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I thought it was just a casual, question. Hey, Skeet, how's it going? Blah, 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 blah. And then I asked a question and he looked at me and he said, "Are you serious? You're really going to ask me that now?" And I said, "Man, I'm sorry." I said, "You don't have to answer it." The ironic thing out of that whole situation is he was incredibly nice to me that entire remainder of the tournament. And Skeet became one of the best interviews for the entire time that I was out there. And actually, when I had it was kind of a fundraiser appreciation event here in Oklahoma. Skeet and I actually fished together, but he was difficult, and he was definitely one of the guys that you do not ask a closed-ended question to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everything had to be open-ended. And sometimes even with open-ended questions, you get a 2-word response. Not really. He's a great, great guy, though. He is. He's another guy that has really impacted the game from a performance standpoint, and even from some of the technology and just intelligent influence. Respect. He was one of the most respected anglers out there. Really was. And you know who he really looked up to a lot I saw him in each other's trucks all the time. Rick Clunn. He really looked up to Rick Clunn, and him and Rick have, and I would assume still have just a great friendship. That even though both of them have retired.
Yeah, Skeet's a great guy. He is one definitely a cool dude, and he's always had really good, pizzazz. I guess
Yeah,
he's
yeah. Here, somebody else asked, who was the funnest interview? The funnest guy to interview. All right, there's actually two. One was Kevin Short. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Kevin Short is. You guys know who Kevin Short is?
Yeah, I do.
K-Pink.
Yep.
Everything he had. And Kevin was an awesome interview. He made me laugh so many times. But once again, when they come off stage, that's where people would, for the most part, do the interviewing there. And he'd be folding up his weigh-in slip, put it in his pocket. He's like, "What do you want, Jeffries?" All right. But they would not give up the juice. Some guys were really, really good at telling you a ton of information without telling you anything.
Not even after the tournament, they wouldn't tell you anything?
No. While the tournament's taking place, like on day 1, day 2. No, day 3, or day 4 after it was over, they would give up the juice.
Oh, okay.
Unless it was one of those that, they were returning to at the same time of the year, but most of the time they didn't know.
Uh-huh.
And then the other person was Steve Kennedy. Steve Kennedy was awesome. He was so great to interview because he was so secretive and did not want to give up a lot. In fact, he didn't want to give up anything, right, before day 4. But his approach to answering the questions that would be asked was just awesome. Some people he wouldn't open up to, but Steve and I kind of had a good. The big word out there with me was trust, and with Matt was trust. They trusted me and they trusted Matt because they knew that we weren't going to run to somebody and say something or tell them something or show them pictures or whatever. That was huge in having what we have today, was the trust that the anglers had in us. Let's see here. Who was the most intimidating angler? In the beginning, it was Rick Clunn. I was scared to death. Those first couple of years, because such a iconic person, I really, you develop a style and there's a term in other sports and these things still exist. I just don't think people are really aware of what happens in other sports, but there's a term called beat writers. And a lot of teams in professional sports, even in college sports, they have a beat writer. And that beat writer sometimes will actually fly with the team, travel with the team. Everybody on the team knows John or Dan or whoever the beat writer is, and they trust him. They open up to him. Well, that's kind of what I was trying to become, was kind of that beat writer to where the guys trusted me. But in the beginning, man, Rick was so intimidating. But then over the years, I felt very comfortable with him. And then when we were doing the fish and chips thing, Rick was great. Rick loves to play poker. And he was a huge supporter of the fish and chips stuff.
Did he win at all?
He has won. There was a tour called the Heartland Pro-Am or the Heartland Poker Tour, the HPT, and I believe Rick actually won a couple of those events. He was a good poker player.
Oh, cool.
Ricky wants to know, who was my favorite angler? Man, that is a tough question. It kind of, it kind of just depends on, man, there's so many. If there was one dude that I really, really trusted and really felt like that he was a true friend, that was Dean Rojas. Dean and I hit it off pretty quick. A lot of people, I would say that a lot of people thought that Dean was very, I don't know what the right word is, very kind of standoffish and not very open and just kind of in his own little world. And that's not how Dean is. Dean is, he's very kind. He's very open. He loves fans. And I think the situation with the whole frog thing and everybody, there was the frog, Dean the frog, and so many people. And when the frog was hot, he really benefited from his performance with that bait. When the frog bite went away, what people didn't realize is that was just a small part of Dean's game. Dean could do it all. And Dean proved that. And he was one of the best sight fishing anglers that I've ever been around. Him and Kelly Jordan were two of the greatest sight fishing anglers that I've ever spent time in the boat with. I mean, I've been on Lake Fork with Kelly Jordan, and he's like, look, see that one? I was like, what? Where? Yeah, right there. You don't see him? See him right there? I mean, we're sitting in 11 feet of water. Looking over at 7-8 foot. Yeah, you don't see her right there. Look at her, man. She's hot. She's ready. I'm like, no. He's like, get out of here. He goes, watch me catch her.
That was before Polaroid glasses.
Huh?
Was that before Polaroid glasses?
No. He had glasses on. I had glasses on.
Oh, okay.
That's just how good of a sight fishing angler Kelly was. But Dean, definitely one of my favorites. Two other guys that are really, really special to me. One is Mike Iaconelli, and Mike and I go way back. I mean, Mike and I, and we have talked about so much stuff. I've stayed at his house numerous times. I did the 20 Feet Deep documentary on Mike. Mike opened up to me about a lot of stuff that, I mean, obviously I haven't really passed along, but that just showed the trust and the friendship that Mike and I had and still have. In fact, I talked to him, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And Becky is his rock. Becky, she really keeps that brand together and keeps the family together. And, when you age, it's hard to accept. And this goes for any athlete. It's very hard to accept that you can't perform at the level that you're used to performing at. You just can't. I mean, it takes a very, very rare, special athlete like Tom Brady to do what he did at his age for so many years. It's just nobody can master and conquer Father Time. They just can't. And I hope people. He's another dude, man. Think about what he has given to this game and the influence that he has had on so many anglers over the years. Just an incredible influencer. I know, some of the products that he's put out. The City Limits show was one of the best fishing shows that has ever been around. I don't know.
I used to watch that myself quite a few times.
It was great. It was fantastic. And, there comes a point in time where you have to really take a look at what is best, not just about the now, but what's best for the future. And I think Mike and Becky have done just an incredible job, and not just thinking about the now, but thinking about the future also. Mm-hmm. great dude, man. And what he gives back, I don't think people really understand the amount of time and money that Mike gives back to the bass fishing community and his fans. And somebody, I think it wasn't Matt, it was somebody else that I was talking with. They asked me about, do you still think that Mike's relevant? And I go, what do you mean? I said, as long as Mike is tournament fishing, you're going to see people lined up to get his autograph.
Yeah.
I said, and you know what? You might see more when he finally retires. I don't know when he's going to retire. Mike's going to retire when Mike wants to retire. And it's not going to be well, do I want to do it this year? Well, no, he's going to know. He's going to know. That's just how Mike is. And, he's had some injuries this year, and it's hard. I mean, me personally, I'm going through it. I mean, it's hard for me to stop bowling, even though I'm trying to compete at the highest level for senior players, but I can't compete at the level that I want to compete at, that I was competing at when I was younger. And you know what you got to do? You got to throw it better.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
Well, Mark, I've got to get going.
All right, man. It's been good. Anybody else want to jump on? Thanks. This has been the Mark and Jim show. All right, man. You take care. Thanks for all the support and help.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you.
All right, man. All right. That was awful nice of Jim. If anybody else wants to jump on, like I said, what time is it? It's almost midnight. If anybody wants to jump in, I guess, can I put the link in there again? Let's see. Okay. There's the link. If you want to jump in and talk about anything, okay, let's see here. Back to the favorite angler thing. I got Dean Rojas, Mike Iaconelli. Another one is Edwin Evers. And even him being a Oklahoma guy, man, Edwin, sometimes very challenging to interview, especially when he's not catching them. But Edwin was and still is. I mean, he's always been class to me. A fourth one, Mike McClellan. Mike is such a great competitor. The dude's got 4 blue trophies, and I think a lot of people forget that. Mike's a stick, and even though the transition to what the game has migrated to today, Mike's got Hall of Fame credentials without a doubt. In fact, all 4 of those guys. And here's one that you guys may not think that I would say, but I'm going to say it because I mean it, and that's Boyd Duckett. And Boyd, Boyd has helped me. There's a lot of stuff that Boyd has done that people they don't know. They just don't know. And I think Boyd doesn't want people to know. But I will say this about Boyd. Boyd, he is not, I got to think of the right way to say this. Sometimes perception is not what is actually happening. I guess that's the best way I could say it. All right. Now, the one thing that I did with Boyd is the friendship that Boyd and I have and still have. When I was involved, there was total separation with what I did. And I know sometimes people said that, you don't ask Boyd the tough question and everything. I'm telling you, I will look dead in the camera right now. And anybody that wants to go back and watch those replays of the interviews that we did with Boyd when we got very specific, all right, there were no softballs. Now, just like myself, have I done everything right? No. No, like asking Skeet Reese a stupid question in Chicago. All right. Has Boyd done everything right? I'm sure he hasn't. But I'm here to say that he's a friend. He'll always be a friend. And I think there's a lot of misconception and misunderstanding of what Boyd Duckett has done. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. But, Boyd, where are they at? Here, check this out. This is something that nobody else will have, ever. These are the shoes that Boyd Duckett wore when he won the Bassmaster Classic. Right there. All right, I know I collect weird, obscure stuff. But there's three things that I have in my possession that mean a lot to me. I have the actual worm and crankbait that Paul Elias used to break the record. Okay, Falcon Lake. I have that. I also have the swim bait, the bass tricks, and the football jig that Steve Kennedy used to break the record. And I was actually on the water covering that, describing what was taking place on Clear Lake when that went down. And I got Boyd Duckett shoes. So, and I got some other things too that are cool, but they won't get thrown away. Good question here. What made you want Boyd's shoes? At the time, the school that I was coaching at was an Adidas school. All right. And our shoes and all of our gear was Adidas. And I thought that would look really cool in my office. Our colors weren't red, but they were shoes. And they were quite the attention getter because everybody that came into that office wanted to know, hey, what's up with the red shoes? So it was different. I know he still has the rattle trap, if anybody remembers. He won that primarily using a rattle trap. What else? Hey, we're pushing toward midnight here. Anybody else want to ask me anything? I hope you guys like this. It's not going to happen that often. It's just, man, it's been a stressful 3 days here, and I looked over, I saw everything was set up. Mark after dark. Hopefully you guys liked the stories, like the stuff. What is this? What school did you coach hoops at? Not at Tuttle. Blanchard, Mount St. Mary's, Bridge Creek. Oh my gosh. Tim, you're really asking this question. Obviously, you haven't been or at least I don't think you've been a fan of the past, because that is something that I have mentioned probably 20 years ago. All right, because you see players, they're getting to their point where they can still perform, but they just can't perform at the level that they did when they were in their younger years. Is it a great idea? Somebody needs to do it. Somebody that has the resources, somebody that can get the sponsorship, because it does take money. I think it would be great for the industry. I think it'd be great for the fans and the relevancy of anglers like KVD and all those others that have retired. They would get a chance, even if it's only once, twice, three, maybe even 4 times a year, to still showcase their skills and reminisce. Here is an idea that I have had And if anybody out there is listening to this, this needs to happen. I don't think this has ever happened in the history of bass. At the Bassmaster Classic in Tennessee, that's where the next classic is, every living classic winner needs to be there and they needs to be recognized. Now, I'm not talking about at the weigh-in. There needs to be something at the show, and they need to do a round table with every living classic champion. How cool would that be? Now, there's one that I don't think would be there, and that would be Robert Hamilton Jr., unfortunately. I think he is, since we did the documentary, I think he has ran into more challenges, but I think that would be amazing. And I think the fans would greatly appreciate seeing every single living classic champion in one room, in one area. And man, somebody make that happen. Do you think Boyd would go? Yeah, I do. Somebody asked this. Do you think Boyd would go? Yes. Yes. If it was every single Bassmaster Classic champion, yes, Boyd would be there. I mean, do you guys agree with that? Good idea? Bad idea? Does anybody care? Does anybody really care about the past? Is it all about the now? Jason, how's your health after your fall a couple years back? Man, I'm doing great. I still can't smell or taste anything. Unfortunately. It's got nothing to do with COVID, but when I smashed those whole nerves in my noggin, it went away. And it's actually a condition that a lot of times when people are in car accidents and they suffer severe concussion, that they will smash those nerves and they will lose their taste and smell. It just goes away. Oh, what is this? And a one fish take all derby between them. That would be entertaining. Maybe over at the trout tank. I don't know. It'd be cool. All right, here's something else that I think the game needs. You know, on the Elite Series, on the MPFL, and on Major League Fishing. All three of them can do this. They truly need to have a tournament of champions. And you cut it off, okay, at whatever the rotating cycle. In other words, you set it at the 40 current champions or 30 current champions, whatever the right number is. And then once somebody wins that was out of that 30, let's just say the number's 30, then boom, they go back in as the Tournament of Champions. All right? It's not the Classic, but I think the MPFL, once they continue to grow, Major League Fishing, I think they're at the point now where they could have a Tournament of Champions. I think it would be great. Ha! This is funny. I think of you every time when somebody mentions a West Coast swing. Yeah, I was a big proponent. I mean, I know it economically it doesn't make any sense, and California's got some crazy stuff going on. But it's unfortunate. You got to move. I mean, if you're on the West Coast and you want to fish, you got to move. You got to move to the middle of the country or the South. Okay, let's see here. Late to the show, but your thoughts on FFS. Is the TNPFL going to take the crown for the best league? I honestly, I've tried it. I haven't been successful at it. It's extremely difficult, in my opinion, from the start to start out doing it. Is it good that the MPFL is doing it? Yeah, I think it is. Does there need to be some, what are you going to do? Mixture of both? maybe. I don't really know. I know that's kind of a cop out, but do I like watching fishing with FFS? The answer is no. Do I like watching fishing when guys are throwing a spinnerbait and throwing a topwater and flipping a jig and throwing a frog and doing all that stuff? Absolutely. So as a fan and a fan only, I much rather watch guys conventionally fish than I would watch guys catch them on forward-facing sonar. Now, I will say this. I think it's cool that they have the screen and the live video feed going on at the same time. I think that adds a ton of value. But at the same time, how many times are you going to see pretty much the same thing? Now, can the same be said when you're flipping a jig or, throwing a spinnerbait or throwing a jerkbait around boat docks or whatever? In theory, yes, but it's not the same. And I know there's different things that are taking place when you're utilizing and you're dialed in, but those fish are suspended. Am I wrong? I mean, they're out there. Yeah, they may be hanging above a log that is in a cut down tree out in the middle of nowhere that nobody even knew it was there. But from a fan perspective, just me personally, I like watching, call it conventional fishing. Now, I like watching forward-facing sonar, but I can only take so much of it. And then I'm flipping the channel if I'm watching it. All right. So I'm glad I don't have to be in position to make any decisions on that, because there's some decision making that's taking place that doesn't just only impact the anglers, it impacts the industry. So is there anything worse than watching drop shotting? I know what Matt would say. He'd say throwing a Carolina rig. That's not me, though. Me and Frank, we'll throw a Carolina rig all day if we have to. That's not boring. All right. I'm not, I'm not giving a, I guess I am, but I'm talking as a fan now. I'm not, it doesn't affect me in any way, but I would rather watch conventional fishing than I would for a longer period of time than I would watch forward-facing sonar gigs. But I'll still watch it. I mean, I think it's kind of cool to see how they do it, but I don't know. It's like eating a bag of popcorn. I mean, eventually you're going to go, I'm just sitting here eating the same thing over and over and over. And you wrap it up, you put the clip on it, and you go put it in the cupboard. What is this? At least now fans have a choice of what they want to watch. Good point. Great point. And that's why I think a senior tour would be beneficial too, because they might, who knows, but I think the vast majority of those guys would not be using, they would not be scoping, in other words. I wonder if did Rick Klein ever scope when he was still fishing? I'd like to find that out. I'm curious about that one. What else? Let's see here. Which Oklahoma Lake would you rather fish, Texoma or Eufaula? That's a no-brainer. I would actually, if I wasn't doing the gig that I'm doing now, I would have a lake house at Texoma, without a doubt. I love Texoma. Any more questions? You guys can ask me about anything. I don't care. Remember, This is a 2-3 times a year thing. That's it. Matt's going to be mad at me. Let's see here. He was determined to win one with it before he retired, according to an interview at the one point. But the last tournament he won, he wasn't scoping, I don't think. I could be wrong. I don't know. Hey, does my setup sound good? This just got built. Do I sound okay? Thumbs up? Anything? Here's a Hank Parker won a classic at Texoma. Doubt we'll ever see another classic there. You know why? Because there's not a community that's willing to pay the money, unfortunately. It costs a lot of money to bring the classic to a community. We've had multiple discussions on that over the years. Super clear. That's good. That's good. I did good. I had to try and remember how to hook everything up. I think I've made it through them all. Anybody else got anything? I hope Matt doesn't get too mad at me. What? Hang on. Did Matt do any as an intern that left you just shaking your head or drove you crazy? As an intern? I don't think so. No. I mean that was a long time ago. No. The one thing he did do in the early years, he had this nervous thing. He would tap his foot all the time. And sometimes it would shake the table. I'm like, dude, stop tapping. What is this one? MLF is coming to Beaver Lake next year. First major in a long time. Yeah, that lake is iconic from an FLW standpoint. And let's see if you guys know this. If there was a single person as a professional angler that was synonymous with Beaver Lake, who would it be? And I'll give you a hint. He's retired. Who would that be? I mean, dominant on Beaver Lake. I actually spent some time with him on Beaver Lake. Sight fishing. No, not JT. Not JT. Anybody else want to guess? You are correct, Jason. Dominant. I mean, absolutely total domination on that lake. I like Clark, too. Clark was a good dude. He's a huge hockey fan. I remember when the Blazers, the minor league hockey team, was here in Oklahoma, I got him an authentic Blazers jersey from the head coach at the time, and I can't even remember his name because we played men's league at the ice rink that the Blazers practiced at. Mike McEwen was his name, and I got a jersey from him, and we had Clark's last name put on it, and I actually gave it to him at an FLW event. I've talked to Bradley one time, and he's doing really well. And we're once my schedule kind of settles down a little bit from this recruiting thing, we're actually going to get together. His kids go to the Catholic church and school that the priest that was in our parish when we used to live at our other place, he's a great priest. And me, him, and Brad we're supposed to go to lunch and we couldn't make it happen. So we're going to hopefully get that in the works soon. But he's doing well. I mean, when I talked to him, he was doing fantastic. Great family man. Let's see here. Who do you think of Bass cracking down on the no influ rule with zero tolerance this year and severe penalties? Man, you know that once again that's a controllable kind of asset that you have in your hands. It's what you do with it, and because from a technology standpoint and the availability of information standpoint, everything has evolved. That the true aspect of the game, if you want to totally get away from it, is to have meeting points, okay, for each of the Elite Series, meeting points, and tell the players, and here, I'm going to go even deeper on this, because I've actually thought about this. What Bass needs to, what Bass not need, they don't need to do, they can do whatever they want. A cool thing to see would be to have Bass get a sponsorship from the Hilton Corporation, okay? And every single angler, and I know there's some anglers out there that want to camp and all that and everything. Okay, just hear me out on this. Take that all out of the equation. If there was a way that everybody could meet and know what these meeting points are, but have no idea where they're fishing, and Bass make all of the lodging arrangements with the sponsorship that they have with Hilton, of which they get a rate. The elite anglers just let them know, hey, this is how many rooms that we need. They have a facility for parking and the boats, and everything's taken care of. They don't have to worry about it. Then nobody knows where they're fishing. They get 2 days of practice, get after it, have at it. I know. Dumb idea, but it would be very, very interesting to see what would happen when the information highway goes away. And quite honestly, the information highway is never going to go away. There's always going to be ways to push the limits unless you totally just shut it down. So I don't know, man. It's a tough thing, and you still got to catch them. Some people say, "Hey, just make it off limits and have 1 day of practice. Go out and find them, and let's see what can happen." Other people say, make the lake off limits for a year when you announce the schedule, and you can't get any information off of this date or from that date. I don't know. Control what you can control. Go catch them better. I don't know, but the whole DQ thing and lie detectors and everything, I mean, come on. How can we make the sport better? How can we do away, or is there something out there that organizations can do to get away from lie detectors or get away from using lie detectors? Right? Cheaters will always cheat. Cheaters will always get caught. I saw somebody mention Tony Christian the other day. Man, I would have loved to do that 20 Feet Deep documentary on Tony, but I got no response. Have I done what? Have you recruited any bass anglers for the bowling team? No, I haven't. Unfortunately, no, I haven't. No. It's kind of weird. I mean, but I got kids from, Hawaii, Michigan, New York, Nebraska, Louisiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, but none of them fish. I do ask. Everyone thinks about Texas, Alabama, and Tennessee anglers, but who is your top 5 Oklahoma anglers of all time? Huh. Let me think about this. Top 5. Do you mean tournament anglers or just anglers? Tim, give me some feedback here. Hopefully you're still out there, Tim. Professional tournament anglers or just anglers? Tournament. He said tournament. All right. Oklahoma. Hang, man, I don't want to make anybody mad at me, but I want to get it right. Let me write them down real quick. I know who number 1 is. I know who number 2 is. And this is off the cuff here. All right. It'll be interesting to hear people's feedback on this one, but this is totally off the cuff. Now, if I miss somebody, sorry, it's Mark After Dark and we're late. All right. Number 5, Jeff Crete. Number 4, Jeff Reynolds. Number 3, Jason Christie. Number 2, Tommy Biffle. Number 1, Edwin Evers. Now, off the top of my head, some people might say, what about Darryl Robertson? Who else on the FLW side? I think Darryl's the only one that I can think of. But no, Crete, Reynolds, Christie, Biffle, Edwin. Look at this one. Christie, Biffle, Evers, Houston, and Panger. All right. Here's an interesting stat that Ken Duke can rip me a new one on if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. Who is the only Elite Series angler? There have only been 2, and I can't remember the name of the other guy. There's only been 2 Elite Series pros that have went the entire season without making a dime. You guys know who one of those 2 are? Did not earn a check in one event. Anybody want to answer that one? No takers? Shocking, but true. No? Wasn't Rick Clunn. He had a great television show. Yes. Eric got it right. Jimmy Houston. I forget what year it was, but he went an entire season and did not make a check. I cannot. There's one other angler too, and I can't remember his name. He's an Oklahoma guy. Cannot remember his name. He did the same thing. Oh, this right here, folks, let me tell you something, man. Jeff is so talented. and he's got and had a very good situation, but for the time that he was out there, he was a stick, and there is no doubt in my mind that he is one of the best anglers from Oklahoma. Another name somebody might throw out there is Sean Goodwin. What did Sean Goodwin do? Anybody remember that name? Anybody remember Sean Goodwin's name? He actually won an event that, for some reason, the prestige of winning that event just seems to have faded away. Anybody know what Sean Goodwin did? Yeah, good point. No, it wasn't Luke Palmer. It was way before him. Sean Goodwin, Oklahoma angler, stick in Oklahoma. I mean, he's won a ton of money in Oklahoma, but he won what I would consider one of the most prestigious tournaments in America. In fact, this tournament used to be classified as kind of that springboard into launching your professional career. And quite honestly, I don't even know if it's still around. I don't know if they did it. It's not the Little Dixie, Tim. I don't even know if it's still around. That's pitiful on my part. I don't know that. Jason, you're right. It was the All-American, which used to be the Redman All-American. But Sean actually won the All-American. I don't remember what year it is. Do they still have the All-American? Is that still a thing? Anybody know the answer? Bueller? Anyone? Nothing? Man, it's getting late. Who wants to close out the show by closing it out with me? I put the link out there. Here, I'll put the link out there again. And even if you can't get video, do what Jim did. We'll just do the audio. There's the link right there. Nobody knows? I guess I could look it up. Mouse is not wanting to cooperate. I kind of agree with you there, Jason. It has been a long 3 days. I'm seeing nobody. Nobody wants to talk to me. That's all right. BFL All-American. Yeah, they still have it. This year, it was at Hot Springs. Well, that's cool. The Phoenix BFL All-American at Lake Hamilton. Joe Thomas, that kind of kick-started his career. A lot of people may not realize that. That was a hard tournament to win. It was hard to get there too, with the way things were set up. All right, nobody want to talk to me to close this thing out? Somebody mentioned about doing a 24-hour show. That has never been done. I think I'm actually going to talk to Matt about that and see if we can pull it off. You guys still think that's a cool idea? I don't know if he would. You know, he's got a lot on his hands, a lot on his plate right now. Hey, before I got this started, I sent Frank a text. I said, "You up?" I got no response. All right. We're gonna can I play this music? They've changed some stuff up here. Where's the yeah. Yeah, we'll take it out with not the typical music. Oh, it stopped. Oh, now it started over. Okay. I'm going to talk to Matt about it. Hey, on the regular show, throw up some comments to Matt and say, hey, you and Mark need to do the 24-hour show and see what he says. I'm game. Before the season starts, season doesn't start until, really September. First week of September. So maybe we can get it done. Listen, thank you everybody for participating, and like I said, it is what it is, and I appreciate you throwing in the comments and being nice and all the cool stuff that you guys said. We will do it some other night, but tell Matt, 24-hour show. I'm all in. I am all in. All right. You guys take care. Have a great remainder of the week, and we'll talk soon.